I need your attention. I need it right now. I need it right now. I need your attention. I need it right now. I need it right now. I'll give you my everything, I promise. Just turn my world around. I need your attention.
Different name. I thought we were talking about Dexter's mom giving away a box. But what's going on, everybody? I am the one, the only, the WOOKIE, joined here by the normal cast of misfits. We got Ogre.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad to be back.
We got the evil one, Zach.
Unfair. How's it going?
You've made your bed. You're gonna have to lay in it. We got Big Z.
I don't think you're evil, Zach.
He's at least lawful evil. Give him some law in there.
I could go with that.
We're getting super technical.
I've been sick for a long time, but I'm at 90%, so I'm here.
And we got Cole.
Hey, the fifth best voice on the podcast here.
Yeah.
That's going to be a thing now, is it?
Yeah. Well, you know what? The people are going to have to start rating us. Dexter will be here eventually. He's hanging out with his mom. She's a beautiful lady. Dexter's mom. If you know, you know. But we're going to start out with Unique of the Week.
Thank everyone else for saying absolutely nothing.
Yeah, quiet and awkward.
I will say something. I've met Dexter's mom. She is an awesome lady. She drove Dexter out to San Antonio for the Keyforge event and super, super kind, was there supporting him and all that. So very, very nice lady.
Go Dexter's mom. And just had a birthday recently. Happy birthday, Dexter.
Happy birthday,
Today
Dexter's
mom.
I hope you enjoyed that crock pot.
Yeah, that you probably already have 3 of.
For shame. So Unique of the Week, Z had a really fun idea, and we're doing it a little bit differently.
Yes.
I'm not going to randomly talk about just some Unique that we picked out that was good. Instead, Z has set up a little competition for us. Tell us the rules, Z.
All right. So we have worst Unique competition. So our cast here, which we thought I was going to have 5 contestants, we only have 4 contestants. Wait, we might have 5. I've clicked invite. Hey, Dexter, are you actually here now?
I'm here, but I'm in the car, so I won't be able to share my Unique. I have it off the top of my head. If you really want me to say it.
Well, screen change to your app, snip the picture, and DM it to me, and I will do the last.
Yeah. Are you the one driving the vehicle?
Unless
don't answer that question legally.
Yeah.
Why did you join a highly professional podcast while driving on your phone?
Yeah. Say hi to your mom for me.
Altered Corner does not encourage its drivers to drive while distracted or while Dexter.
This is true. And, this may be Dexter's last cast, so let's from the top. Worst Unique competition. So they submitted their worst Unique to me from their collection. I'm going to just go based on my Discord thing. So we're going to then, they're going to describe what their Unique does, all of the information from it. And then, I will describe all of the information, and then they're going to give us an argument like Super Fight style. That's a board card game. Why theirs is the worst. And then they're going to vote amongst themselves, and then they'll be down to the 2 highest voted card that are the worst. We'll then have a face-off, and then they will argue with each other one-on-one. So at that point, they will know all the stats. Right now, they're just saying why their card is bad. The final round, which is 2 people, will have to then say why they think theirs is worse than the other person's. And this is kind of like how you play the game Super Fight, if anyone's ever played that. My kid loves that game. Mm-hmm. You basically have these made-up heroes, and you just argue the hell out of your heroes, say why they're better. In this case, we're going the opposite. So why they're worse. So I'm just going to start off from the first person I have a DM from on the way, at least the most recent DM from, is Cole. Cole's worst Unique submission is from Muna, since I don't know if he plays anything else. It is a Muna Druid. This has a cost of 3 and 3 for both costs. Its stats are 3/3/3 all the way down. Normally, this is played regularly in common for them. I guess I should not say that part. If you control 3 or more characters, reduce my cost by 1. And then it has a quick action, which is the standard Moon Druid quick action. Anchor a character with 3 or less. That is your card, Cole. Why is this your worst unique?
All right. I think mainly this card just kind of makes me mad because when you pull a unique, you want something good. And when I pull a Muna unique, I want it to be good even more. And you might look at the stats and the cost and be like, oh, it's not too bad. But the ability is just insulting. If you control 3 or more characters, which is kind of already hard for Muna, you reduce its cost by 1. Okay. Like, oh, I don't care. And the from reserve is also 1 more than any other version of it, which I actually do sometimes use the Muna Druid from reserve, especially with Tasia, if there isn't something that I want to anchor. So I don't think I would ever have this take up my 1 of 3 slots in my Muna deck.
Gotcha. Sounds good. And we'll the cast. I'm putting the pictures of these things for the cast can see, so it'll be easier for them to vote. All right. Next up, I have Ogre. I believe we were going with your bottom submission here, Ogre.
Yep. Let's go with the cadets.
All right. We have an Izmir card. Shocking. We complain about them all the time having sucky uniques. We have Ortis Cadets. This has a hand cost of 2, reserve cost of 1. Its stats are a whopping 002. It does have an arrow ability. If you control 1 or more landmark, create an Ortis recruit 1/1/1 in target expedition to get another whopping 1/1/1 stats. It has a quick action of discard. The quick action is the next card you play this afternoon costs 1 less. Why is this a bad unique?
Okay, so I think for my argument, what I'm going to put forward for why this is a bad unique is I'm going to try to describe to you the ideal circumstance in which this card could be used. A landmark is on the table. You're in Izmir, so you probably paid 5+ for that landmark. Maybe we're talking about Baba Zizba, right? But if we're talking about Baba Zizba and you're playing this card, you pay 2, you get a 0/0/2 on the board, you get a 1/1/1 body, you've got something to sacrifice, and you theoretically have, a target for your Izba now. Fair enough. Is that worth a unique slot? I don't think so. Let's say that, as most often happens when we're cycling through our decks and we're trying to play our uniques, you don't always get to play them in their dream circumstance. A lot of times you're going to draw this thing, you don't have a landmark on the table. You never got around to it. And at that point, you're paying 2 for a 0/0/2. I had this discussion with Cole earlier today. I have feelings about a stat block that includes not 1 but 2 zeros, and none of those feelings are positive. I think this card is worthless. I think the best thing that you can say about this card is that you were never going to play the other version of it anyway. And that's not really much to come at from a positive point of view.
All right. Some very strong words there. I'm just loading this up for our audience can see these pictures as well. If you have never thought about coming to listen to us, we have a live cast every Fridays. Join us for that. And our next person that I'm going to be sharing, let's go down the list. I have Wookie.
Oh boy.
Wookie submitting a so we decided it was actually Dracana.
Yeah. They said that
even though they acknowledged that the word was not that.
Yeah, in English, thanks to our plant expert Cole, we were all taught that it's pronounced Dracena. But they said that for their world building, they wanted it to be pronounced Dracana to point at the relation to the mythological creature, right?
Correct. Yep.
All right.
Who had Dracana on the bingo card? Was it Z?
Well, yeah. So the Dracana card, I was the one that said I was going to call it that no matter what. So this one is a Bravos Dracana, so it is out of faction unique. It is 3 from hand to play, 2 from reserve. Its stats are 2/1/2. On play from hand only, it gains anchored. At noon, you may discard a card from your reserve. If you do, it gets a whole 1 boost. And it has a quick action. Up to 1 target character gains fleeting. Wookie, why do you think this is your worst unique?
Because you told me it was.
This is true. This is 100% how that went down.
Dang, what a good argument.
I thought it was my Tanuki. You said it is not your Tanuki. It is your Dracana. I mean, I'm looking at the OG, the rares, and the uniques, so its stat line is kind of on par. The only thing it loses is 1 from reserve. It
doesn't the rare grow?
Well, the rare, I was gonna say the only thing. So if this one at noon, you have to discard a card from your reserve to gain a boost,
which is bad.
The other ones just gain it naturally.
Also, doesn't the original one have an arrow instead of a hand?
It does. Yes, it has an arrow instead of a hand. This is
a straight emotion.
I am seeing your argument more and more as I compare and contrast the two. But I can quick action to give a card fleeting. Yay!
That's not good.
I think the really hard part about this one is at noon is a great text to have on a Dracana, but then
all
being
the
in
other
Bravos
ones are better than it.
Well, just being in Bravos and the fact that you have to discard from reserve, I was gonna try to make a case for it, but I don't know.
Every other Dracana, just okay. So let's think. Here's the Muna one. At noon, I gain 1 boost. Just does it on its own. Also, the Muna rare. At noon, I gain 2 boosts.
Yep.
Okay. That's and then there's the Bravos version. At noon, I gain 1 boost. So literally, all the other ones do it on their own. This one, you have to get rid of a resource.
Well, and all 3 other ones are an arrow effect. It gains anchored no matter what.
So in every circumstance of this card, except for the giving a creature fleeting, it is worse. It has a little bit better stat line, but that's about it.
That's what I'd like to call it, an algorithmic failure.
Yeah, this is empirically worse in every way than every other iteration, even the common one.
I get they consider the fact that it has a quick action a benefit. I think like they weight it in their algorithm.
I know.
In Bravos, that's like the last faction because they can't afford to just chunk a card out of reserve like everybody else can.
That's why that Issoon Basson card is actually not good. Like can't afford to lose an actual playable card for 1 boost.
Yeah, I can now agree with you on this versus Tanuki because this is pretty.
That Tanuki can at least sabotage twice in a cycle.
Is true. No, it can only it's from hand.
Isn't it an arrow?
I thought it was only from hand. Hold on.
The normal one's from hand. I think your unique is.
Oh, it is an arrow. Yep, you are right.
Yeah, that's a significant difference.
Yes, that is a significant difference. So that is my worst unique.
All right,
I'm now depressed. Thank you.
I've already queued up Dexter's. I know that wasn't the order I said, but let's talk about Dexter. Dexter is submitting a Lyra card, so that's a 4th faction from us. Esmeralda, 2 costs from hand, 3 costs from reserve. Stats are 3/0/1. It has an arrow effect. If you control 1 or more landmarks, resupply. And then at dusk, you may pay 1. If you do, you may return a card other than me from your reserve to your hand. Maybe Dexter didn't understand the goal here.
This does not seem that bad.
It's mostly a side grade. I looked at all of my cards. None of them were real bad.
Because this is your worst unique, you're pulling way better.
Yeah, you're pulling above your weight class. Holy.
This is a complete side grade. This is a complete side grade. I don't feel like how it's completely better than the rare, because the rare, its stats are
0,
2 in water and 2 in
mountain.
earth.
Is the rare an arrow?
The rare is an
No,
arrow.
but this one you have to have landmark.
The rare is an arrow.
The rare is an arrow. The rare
it's
is
just an arrow resupply.
and it's the same cost.
That is
so
fair.
we're noticing a trend here, actually. If you talk about the ones, like the last 3, actually. Well, the last 2. Anytime you have the algorithm interpret an ability that doesn't have a cost and add a cost on, it's almost always worse. Like, it seems like the algorithm never gives you enough after the cost, like a bump from whatever the regular one was. Like, let's say that the cost was you have to have a landmark, but then I'm going to let you resupply too. Well, oh man, that's nuts. You can do all kinds of stuff. You can start justifying landmarks with that, but it's literally just what the rare does, but you have to meet a criteria now.
It's not a bonus effect that's better than the rare. It's just still resupplying, but now you need a landmark, which is mostly being played in Finn, which you're not playing landmarks in.
Yeah, the algorithm loves putting you must control the landmark.
There were some I saw one time. I should have saved it. It had 3 conditions in one thing. Oh man, I gotta find that one day. Okay.
I just wanted to point out that's like the card that I submitted. Take the regular version of the card, add a landmark into the requirement to get the ability.
Yep.
The card that Wookiee submitted, take the regular ability, add a discard effect.
Well, and remove the arrow and make the arrow a hand.
Dexes, we're back on this landmark train.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, our final competitor is Noble. He is submitting an Axiom card. So yeah, we have 5 completely different
I like that.
factions. That was
no
not
Ortis
planned.
ones.
I was going to say, weird how there's no Ortis ones.
I was going to submit an Ortis one, but
you could have only have done that recently because of a recent change.
Yeah,
you had this plan for last week, so of course
it's true. It's true. Yes, I found this last week, and
yeah. All right, so let's still go to submission. So we have just Jian, Assembly Overseer in Axiom, hand cost 2, reserve cost 2, stats are 1/0/4. From reserve, when you play it, you may sacrifice a permanent. If you do, draw a card. It has a quick action. You may activate the arrow triggers of 1 permanent you control. Zach, why is this our worst unique?
So when I was looking through this, and the ability about anytime you have to take anything away from your own board, right, for an ability, in Axiom, you're killing a permanent. Like, your permanents are what is likely driving your deck engine, right? Especially if you're playing any of the Axioms. And the fact that you just sacrifice it just to draw a card just seemed not like a really good idea. And comparing it even to the common or the rare, it has the same. It's slightly different worded, but the same ability as far as activating the triggers of a target permanent you control. But to play it from the reserve, you got to kill one of those permanents. So I don't know, just didn't like it.
I'd like to. I don't know why I'm helping my opponents here, but first argument against this card.
Nope. Shut it down.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Nope.
Denied. It's a good one.
Denied. All right. Thanks you for that input, Zach. I had to moderate like a boss. Okay, so we have...
You yelled him down.
Yes. So we have the 5 competitive cards. They're all heroes, of course. So you're sending me a DM which one you think is the worst. You cannot choose your own. There's the Muna Druid from Cole, the Ortis Cadets from Ogre, the Dracana from Wookiee, Esmeralda from Dexter, and Jian, Assembly Overseer from Noble. All right, I've got 1 vote. I've got 2 votes. I've got 3 votes. Dexter, you got to send me a vote.
I'm driving. Okay, I sent it to you.
Pull over.
Get everybody else's vote, and then he can just say his out loud. It'll be fine.
Okay, we have a 4-1 because Wookiee couldn't vote for himself. Everybody but Wookiee chose Dracana.
Yeah, you said you couldn't vote for yourself. I'm like, I don't know who to vote for now at this point.
So I don't know if we need to do the
hold on. Who's the
round, but we should.
Who's the one
vote that Wookiee
the one vote was my vote because I'm not allowed to vote for myself.
The Assembly Overseer. So all right, there's the showdown: Wookiee versus Zach. Wookiee's got a lead, obviously.
I don't think I need to say anything. I think Zach just needs to tell me why his is worse than mine.
All right, Zach, why is Gian Assembly Overseer worse than Wookiee's Dracana?
This is how I win against Z's son. If he doesn't want to say anything about his character, I will light up my character. So why this character is so bad? One, the stat line, granted, it is the same, but I'm paying 2 for 5 stats. You're paying 3 for 5 stats, but you're staying anchored, right? You're killing a permanent. Discarding a card from your reserve, you can always refill your reserve. But a permanent is something that you paid mana for that you're likely going to need to drive the engine of your deck. And you're killing one just to draw a single card. Trace already has the ability to draw cards. I think there's some other draw abilities in some of the other heroes, but it doesn't feel good to have to kill your own stuff. Whereas, the Dracana is only discarding a card from a reserve. Again, for one, and you get a boost from that. I don't know.
My card is literally worse than the common or rare version in every conceivable notion.
Yeah, I was going to say, do we get to add one comment, or is it just these two versus each other?
They're supposed to be versus each other, but I can't stop the peanut gallery.
I will say just one small comment. Sierra doesn't think this Assembly Overseer is that bad.
Because you're running the permanent, the rare.
I disagree.
I think it's still bad.
Yeah,
I said not that bad.
You know what? This is the thing I was going to say earlier that Zach wouldn't let me say. Not Zach, Z. Sorry, Zach. You really we do just give you the guilt by association.
It's okay. It's okay.
So I would like any of you to tell me the last time that you played against a GN.
Never seen it played.
Anybody?
No.
Chime in from the back. Okay, there you go. There's your argument.
It's just a bad card.
There's so many things that could be said.
See, that's kind of.
I was gonna say we actually have 3 different GNs, three GN uniques, and all of them are
trash.
Yeah, literally just take them out and put them in the recycling because they're garbage.
I will say this. I am still sticking with the Dracana as the worst because there is a conceivable deck archetype that runs Armored Jammer and potentially we may see more cards like that one where you have to be able to play them and then get rid of them to benefit from bonus effects. And Cole is right that the quick action in certain Axiom heroes is valuable, whereas nothing about Wookiee's card is valuable.
No, Wookiee's card is not.
What was the quick action again?
Hold on, Z, you're supposed to be the moderator. Don't even make it.
On the GN, the quick action is discard it to trigger a permanent.
So you can draw. You can
which
get
is
a
already
resupply.
Regular one
does.
doing.
Yeah. It's different. It's slightly different worded, but it's the same ability, right? You just activate the trigger abilities.
This whole unique is just it's a stat reshuffle from the regular card,
and then it gives a shitty play from reserve ability.
More or less. Again, unless you're running rare Armored Jammer specifically,
which has become more popular.
Yeah,
and
rare Armored Jammer.
All right, so normally I would have had y'all DM me again. So we're gonna just all vote on 3 and say the name of the winning card, the card name. So 3, 2, 1. There it is, Wookiee. Congratulations, you have the worst unique of Altered Corner.
It's winning.
We need
to
find a way to put this up on the site somehow.
You should frame this card.
When I post the episode, update it to the most recent one on the website, I will put a little gallery of these uniques.
It's its own little page, the worst uniques.
I wonder
if we do that, then I'll have to.
I feel like we should like poll the audience too. Like, what is the worst? Do you have a unique that could beat this?
Oh, that'd be interesting. Like an audience,
the opposite of the other site. Bring us your work.
Bring us your work.
Yeah, there you go.
We did ours, but like 2-3 casts from now, we give them a little bit of time for submissions.
Oh yeah.
Hit us up
we'll
on the Discord or whatever, and
maybe we'll say like, oh, by the start of next year, let's see what gets sent in, and kind of go from there or whatever. We'll mention it, but like I don't know, like like again, just
that could be a lot of fun.
Comparing it, it's like, wow, it's worse than every conceivable notion. Like, how would I trade this card except for somebody who's like, well, I'm collecting Bravos cards, and I don't have.
I'm a fan of cards.
Well, every Robin Hood unique is pretty trash now. So
well,
say it ain't so.
We should create an altar of Robin Hood cards as a shrine for all the old Robin Hood players to go.
I feel like we should put the music in the what is that, the defeat music in the background. Like, put it on a page on our website and just have every Robin Hood unique there.
Oh my gosh.
Like a slideshow.
It's like a small slideshow, like sad music in the background.
You know that late night infomercial that used to come on? Dexter's too young, but like it had the lady that was trying to save the gorillas or whatever, and they would always play the like mega sad song.
Yeah. In the eyes of...
There you go.
Are you talking about Sarah McLachlan?
Yeah, it was Sarah McLachlan.
That was for the dogs. That wasn't for gorillas.
Yeah, but
I swear there was a gorilla one.
Yeah, I was like, did you just mash up two different?
No, Ogre stayed up way too late.
I swear, I'm gonna look it up.
It's called Gorillas in the Mist. That's what.
That was a movie with Ripley from Aliens. I can't remember her name, but she's Ripley from Aliens.
Sigourney Weaver.
There you go.
I couldn't remember her name, but yeah.
All right. Moving on.
That was fun.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've won. What's my price? Do I get like a good unique now? Like I trade this one in, or
you get
the acknowledgement of having the worst unique on the cast.
Yay! I guess. All right.
Somebody posted, one of our audience posted something, but you know what, guy? It immediately has an arrow that says anchored. So it's already better than Wookiees.
Yeah.
Does have less stats.
Getting rid of one of your mana orbs to take out a permanent is pretty harsh, though. It hurts.
Yeah.
It is you may, though, so you don't have to.
Yeah, it's also bad. Like, those are actually fairly close. I still think Wookiee edges it out just a little bit.
You may discard one of your mana orbs? Oh, no. But absolutely not.
Well, you don't have to. But, I mean, if you got that sticky permanent that you got to get rid of, and, you don't have a cocoon,
I did play a Kojo that got up to 11 mana against me very quickly. They would love this.
I don't think they'll love that, but
there's better uniques you're gonna put in your deck. You're not gonna put this in your deck.
There's better commons.
You gotta
put a common instead of a unique.
I got a plan. Play all your permanents. I'm gonna discard my whole mana set.
All right. Let's move on to the meta line of the week with Zach. Sponsored by Carl's Jr.
No, it was sponsored by Carl's Jr. before. We need a new one.
Sponsored by Wendy's.
So the meta line of the week is it's real bad. So in order to have a meta line, to even know what the meta is, it's very important that you play Altered. During the Ace tournaments things that we have, or AWOL, or just even in the arena, and that is something that I have not been doing lately. Yeah, and once Ace season 1 ended, I've kind of stepped back. The Robin Hood crash came down. I took a step,
crying for a week. That's all it is.
No, it's just there's been a lot of other stuff going on, so I haven't really had the time to devote to playing Altered. So
I think we need to take meta line of the week away from Zach now that Ordis is no longer meta.
No. He's got to migrate. He's got to find the next one.
Oh, yeah, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
What does the migration look like?
Well,
that can be your meta line. Like, what do you?
I'm gonna donate one to Zach.
He's migrating to a new hero.
I will say, okay, so a couple of the things, and then we kind of hit on this with the Robin Hood nerf last week when we talked about it, but where the meta, or at least my meta, will be shifting to is one of two heroes, likely either Traced or Fen. Those are probably two of the top contenders right now. So,
welcome to the fold, brother.
Waru was great,
Slumming it with the rest of us, huh?
I still love the idea of it. It's taken a hit. Hopefully, we're going to get some nice fire bureaucrats coming in Trials by Frost.
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Well, we'll see. You never know. But also, with that new set release coming in, 2 months? That will also dictate the change of a meta. So,
are they doing a Kickstarter for that one, or is it just strictly store release?
No.
Yeah,
just they won't do the Kickstarter for 2, 3, or 4. They said.
It looks like I'll have to get some stuff from Z.
Yeah, what is this? Are you used to some other company that
some other trash ass game that just does Kickstarter after Kickstarter after Kickstarter? And the answer to that is yes, I am.
Bookie, that company has never done a Kickstarter for one.
You're correct. They couldn't even go with the big daddy of crowdfunding. They had to go with its lesser cousin, GameFound.
they couldn't afford
I am going to throw your brain for a loop, though, Zach, on the two heroes you picked.
Talk to me.
What if I told you, if you take out one very good Traced player, all of the top spots of the tournaments for the past 2 weeks have been a Kesha or a Faunus?
So I have noticed that I have been watching with the AWOL tournament come in from all the events and stuff, and Waru is completely missing from the whole top meta, right? And that's kind of what we expected. But
it's going to take time for people to adjust.
Sure, yeah, they gotta dry the salt from the tears, mine included, and rebuild from the ground up because what I tease. But there is a potential for a Kesha or a Faunus for there are good decks out there. I think a Faunus is very.
Which one's the one
beatable.
that's after you? Is I get those two.
A
Kesha. I always get.
I like the
two
Faunus a lot more
confused.
personally.
I think a Faunus is if you understand what the deck is doing, it is beatable. And I think that in a top meta play or a top level competition, you're not going to see them go very far with people who know how to handle or combat what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I will say it is not only AWOL, though. There was a Kickstarter box in Ravenna with 61 players. Kesha took first.
To our listeners that don't know, Cole is on a crusade to convince all the rest of us that Kesha is
the number one scary.
Now, I don't think that Kesha is bad,
No,
particularly moving into this new meta, but I don't think she's top contender. I don't think she's meta line.
I only am scared and hate one specific type of Kesha. I should see if that's the kind that won, because that would be just insulting.
I don't think it is.
No, it's not. It doesn't even have any permanence in this one. So this is just a true blue Kesha that won. The Traced that's been tearing through AWOL, Yolo Aiken, is just a really good player.
Well, and at this point, Traced's absolute worst matchup is he's hiding under a rock somewhere. Waru's gonna come back, and I still think Trace is probably up there in contention for top dog. Going to be for a while. But once the Warriors figure out where they fit in now and how they play without Robin Hood, and they readjust, check their deck list out, figure out how they're going to cover what was kind of a crutch before. That Trace number is going to start coming down because even without Robin Hood, Waru is still going to give Trace players a hard time, and it's one of those with the relative absence that I'm seeing in these lists of Waru players to run into, and even then, how many Trace? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Seems like roughly the same distribution as all these other guys that are showing up at the top.
I will say that in the latest AWOL tournament, there was a 5-1 place 7th Waru and Mac. but it is a very, very different deck. It is, like you said, there's a few. I mean, it has a lot of the key parts that the typical Warrior does, and it is going to, if it meets up against Trace, just slap it right back down likely. So
yeah, we're going to see, like, without Robin, I think Warrior players are going to start running things like the Council again. And the Council is a card that, like, it's not a bad card, but I think we've had the conversation before where a lot of decks just don't care when you play the Council. Trace cries himself to sleep when he's up against, like, particularly in Warrior, because you can sleep one and then play one in the other lane, and now none of their cards do anything.
I also hate it. So
I'm thinking we're going to see a lot more councils. Ketz is going absolutely nowhere. Legate's absolutely nowhere.
Attorney will still stay part of it.
Attorney-
Huge part.
Attorney
Ozma.
might go to common.
No, you only want it to go to common because you don't have rares. That's why you want that to happen.
What's the difference between? I've never actually seen a common.
It's just one cheaper.
Okay.
The
rare is just one cheaper.
versus 3/3.
Oh yeah, they're going to keep running rare.
in the server, Maddox faction is still trying with Waru. I think he's dedicated to figuring it out. I also know he's preparing for PAX, so we'll see if that Waru deck shows up there or something else.
The Warrior deck that he played on this last AWOL looks like he went 4-2, and it is a very similar deck to what he played in our A Season 1 championship. Very similar, but obviously some changes, right?
Was he running 3 council back then?
No.
There's 3 council in here.
That was the swap for Robin.
Okay. Still 3 meadows.
The Athena he was running, and that was.
Oh, he's the one with the Super Athena. Yeah.
Yeah. That one. That was rough. It was real rough.
All right.
Is Isatok? Didn't Isatok kind of go out? Is Isatok coming back?
I think he ran. I saw him and Pluka both run at least one Isatok in their pre-Robin nerf. So
let's
it's interesting.
move into the why I suck at Altered. Dexter, I guess you're the only one who sucks at Altered ever.
I think we're going to skip that for now since I'm still driving.
Oh, we're going to skip that for now since you're still driving. Okay. All right. Are we going into the marketplace research? I got the marketplace pulled up right here. So what is a box going for right now? So a box of the Kickstarter Beyond the Gates, $131.99.
Wow.
That dropped from last week.
Came
Where's
down
that at?
That is at Gamers Guild.
I thought they were completely out of Kickstarter product.
I thought they were out too.
Maybe they found some stashed away somewhere? Question mark. I don't know. Your next one is eBay at $150. So I mean, not a crazy. I mean, you're looking $20 difference. And then if you want just
that's their Black Friday sale. It's listed Black Friday sale.
Oh, is it? It is
It's still a great price.
It is a Black Friday sale.
How many?
So wait till
can I buy
Black
of
Friday.
Well, no, you can buy it right now. Everyone does Black Friday starting now.
Oh, that's true because Black Friday is a week later this week.
I was gonna say it continues to be like
488
Black November.
I want to point out though that this says this is a restock pre-order. How? Where are they getting a restock of this?
From what I have heard, now don't quote me on this. I don't know if it's true. They bought a massive amount. So I don't know if they're just shuffling it between locations or what, but
it might be one of those, this pallet over here got lost or whatever, and then they're like, oh man, we have a whole other pallet. Or so, it happens.
Like I've heard estimates of over 1,000 boxes. So
get them all.
Boxes or cases?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was either, but
it had to have been cases, right? Because they sold. It was in the like 400 to 500 range on boxes that we saw, like after they had been selling them for a while, and after they had opened all their product for singles, however many casts ago. So they must have just loaded up.
Which good on them. But $90 for just a regular. Actually, here's one for $83. I've never heard of these guys before. TCG Moonblast. Wow, they were originally asking $145, but they've got that down to $83 for just a normal old box of Beyond the Gates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it looks like GG came up about what, like $5? Didn't they used to be at $84.99?
They've kind of been,
retail.
They were like 84.
Yeah, they were at 84.
Yeah, they've kind of bounced between those two.
So it's coming up. It's coming up slowly. I'm guessing that's as they whittle through their stock.
Right. All right.
It says they have 1,600 still available. So
no rush. Wait till Black Friday, which is next Friday.
The real one.
The real one. All right, Cole. What do we got for events going on in the December months?
Yeah, if you are listening to this fresh and early Tuesday as soon as it comes out, hop in the Discord and you might have time to join a Commons only tournament that we're hosting for the break week. And let me check how many people have signed up, because I'm about to be annoyed. 8 people have signed up when
I signed up.
it's probably honestly the most requested alternative format that I see. But then I guess when it comes down to it, people last minute signups happen. Anyways, if you hear that,
last minute signups are always huge, right?
Yeah,
especially when it's an event that is online. For whatever reason, people procrastinate. I don't know.
Yep.
Although I do think the off season we've had a little bit lower attendance, and people are in the middle of trying to get ready for the holidays.
So you're also traveling in the holiday season. That's the big thing. You got Thanksgiving literally next week, followed by Christmas, followed by New Year. The holiday season is always tough for everyone. You'll see lower attendance during those times.
Yep, and that's across the board on everything. I will also say, if you are wanting to pre-register for the Altered events that are happening at PAX, you should do that if you haven't already and you're listening to this, because they will no doubt sell out. The ones you can pre-register for are the Hero's Journey events on December 8th, 7th, and 6th. There's multiple of those. And then the Team Journey, which is a 2v2. And I believe there's only one 2v2 event, and it's 24 teams, so 48 people total. So if you haven't done that,
Zach, you could go to PAX and play in a team event.
I can't wait to play the team format. I don't know if anybody else is with me, but
that does sound fun.
It is supposed to be a lot of fun. I also need to learn it because I am 99% sure I have to judge it, and I don't have anyone to play with.
It's the actual 2v2 rules.
Yeah. So Exalt's table actually does have it. So if we have a free night coming up and you guys want to play it, I am definitely down. And anyone listening as well, if you hop into the server and want to test it out, just give me a ping and I will let you know when I'm available.
And to make sure that I'm correct, for that format, the 2 central cards that let you make the L between the other tumult cards, they just made those available, right? You print them off online somewhere. Is that accurate?
I actually don't know, but there is a whole article on the 2v2 format. I actually didn't even know there was a different card. I thought it was just the card made a T.
So there's you have to acquire for either free for all, whatever the multiplayer formats. There are, I think it's 2 cards, right?
It's 2.
And do you know where they made those available, Zach?
No. It looks like that they've taken, I'm looking at the 2v2 rules that Cole was just referencing. They put an article out on the 6th of September, and it crosses as a T, but then they have the 2, they've taken 2 different tracks of the 3 cards and just kind of made them at right angles to one another. And so it looks like that the center location is the, it's just a little bit different.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. If you look like on that image where it's got all of them, the two that are in the middle that are like placed catty corner, unless they've changed things, those are special cards once you flip them over. They go together to form a little cross.
I see.
Between the other ones. I'll see if I can.
I was going to say, I don't see an image here, so that would have to be...
I cannot for the life of me remember where they posted it.
I can look at the marketing assets or print and play. I would. It's not a officially released format, I don't think, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do have that for print.
If, as far as what these rules say, it says take 2 sets of Tumult cards, form 3 piles, each containing 2 identical Tumult cards, then randomize your 3 piles. So there was no special cards for this one specifically, it looks like. These are just the random set. Or the normal set, excuse me.
All right.
Yeah, if I find something, I'll share it. The last thing is I will kick it over to Z for any mention of Ace Season 2.
For listeners, it'll be a Tuesday or after Tuesday. The following week will be December 3rd, I believe. And that is the date we will start off our first week of play for Season 2. I'm not sure exactly how many weeks will go before the championship series. I kind of liked where we were last time, but it might end up being 5 or 6 depending on what that time frame was, because I basically wanted us to finish Season 2 and have that championship week basically the week before the new product launches. So this season may be 5 or 6 weeks, depending on whether we have to take some time off for the holidays. But it'll be best of one, just like last time. We are changing the start time to 6:30 Central Time, and then we'll finish with that championship invite only. And just like before, you'll get an invitation for being the first or second each week, and then the rest of the spots, however many spots it happens to be, will be completed by the people that earn the most points. And just like before, you'll get 2.
Here's a crazy idea. Hear me out. Crazy idea. Oh, God. We should do something later, maybe on the weekends.
Yeah, that would be not an Ace event thing, but like we could do some of the off things, I guess. That could be when we hold our Winnabox event.
6:30 on like a Tuesday, or what day is it? Wednesday?
Yeah, we've been getting 50 to 60 people, and we're filling their needs.
Man, are you really getting that many people on a Tuesday?
Which may not match your needs.
It definitely doesn't.
AWOL fills up 64 plus on every Wednesday, just about. So
man, yeah, I'm not even home by 6:30.
Yeah, and we try to all be collaborative in the online. Well, most of us in the online tournament space, like. We've talked with Keelan Guy. He's starting up something. Work closely with Simon, and we try not to overlap each other. On the weekend, I mean, we could get something going possibly. I have also
I'm so
ideas.
desperate to play anything that isn't like random as all get out, right? And I just like. I know your guys' schedule. You guys all get home early. I don't get home man.
Aren't you off on Tuesdays?
Yeah, but that's my game that shall not be mentioned.
Oh my
God! Oh boy!
That's my game that shall not be mentioned night, right? Some of us have other interests.
Yeah, I have other interests too on the weekends.
Well, that's not when they play, Zach. So,
well, but you're advocating for a weekend thing.
The one day you're off is the one day.
I get 2 days off a week.
Yeah, doesn't sound.
But
like
it's not Wednesday. Wednesday, I'm in meetings all day. So, and then I've got things to do. But I just wanted to. I want to do something. Yes, but like you guys start at like 6:30, and it's like not even home.
Yeah. You are.
I mean,
on Tuesdays.
You can always come play
maybe that's what I should
do.
Maybe I should just have my iPad next to me while I'm.
No, you should just stop playing that dead ass game.
It's not going to happen.
Legitimately, though, I do I play on my iPad for if I can't sit down and actually talk if I'm watching my kid or whatever. I just carry my iPad around and play in the tournament while I'm That sounds really terrible, doesn't it? I say that like I should be playing with my kid, but instead I'm following him around and playing
Can't you
a card
just
game
sit down and
online.
watch Bluey?
No, you're teaching your kid what he needs to know.
Sit down and watch Bluey. It's all right.
This is how you sling cardboard, kid. Let's do this.
But yes, those are the details. Tuesday, 6:30. We normally get 60 to 80 people. 10 of them drop, and we've had a grand old good time. It's nice and fast, easy to squeeze in on a weekday. The whole dang thing is normally done in 2 hours. Much, much sooner if you're Cole.
But that is
Ow.
so that I can cast the rest of the games
It's
on
all calculated.
twitch.tv/altered corner.
He's just taking one for the team every time.
Yep.
It's
Okay.
all calculated.
If anybody was curious, I did find it. It's in the marketing assets that you can get. Like,
Okay, that's where
you know.
Yeah, that's where I thought it would be. What folder is it
under
in?
the cards folder under multiplayer, you can get the central like cross cards. What I don't know, based on what Zach was just saying, is if they have done away with these in the rule set. Like they had them, they made them available to print and everything else. Maybe they've said, you know what, we're just going to take 2 other cards and like kind of prop them caddy corner, and that's how they're solving for it, so that people don't have to print this extra thing. I don't know. So maybe that's something we can like find and put on the Discord for people that are listening and want to be able to go out and try multiplayer themselves.
Yep. I also shared the exalts table in the stage. I will post it in the main part of the Discord after this as well. And then, like I said, if anyone wants to play 2v2, let us know. But
I want to play 2v2.
You don't want to, or you do?
No, I do.
Okay, cool.
But not on Tabletop Simulator.
No, it's exalts table. Okay. It's not TTS.
Those central cards, I like. That is slick. I like that.
All right. Does that do it for events for us this week?
Yeah.
Perfect. I think I'm not sure who put this one in here with the.
Yeah, it's I'll start us off, but it's gonna be all of us. So I, like the good little boy I am, watched the Trickster interview with Justin, who is the organized play manager for Altered. And I took bullet points because Blue in the main Discord asked to get a summary. And it's a good topic for us to talk about. So I will go point by point, and then if you want to stop me and jump in, just go ahead, or if you have thoughts at the end. So there's obviously been some concern about the game growth in North America and what Equinox is doing or has done. Of course, there are more things coming next year that haven't been announced yet, but you might not think it, but a big amount of money has been put towards the US OP. It's just been really hard because of how everything is spread out, and it's just a lot easier over in France and Italy, where it's not as spread out. And then, of course, there is the, it's a French game. They're going to support it hard.
Can you clarify? I had misread that when you, I guess, shared it. I thought that what you were saying is that he clarified that a lot of money had been put into trying, like, things that haven't happened yet that are coming down the pipe for US-based OP, for, like, them to try to ramp it up here. You're saying he said they've already sunk a bunch of resources?
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say from my standpoint, I think that is probably true because, I'm a person who did the road shows. They did a road show before the Kickstarter launched, and they did a summer road show after.
But road shows, those aren't part of the actual, like,
it's
OP.
To get people.
That's part of, like, advertising and stuff, right?
I mean, with a team of like 10 people, it's the same. It was to get the word out in the US a lot more.
Interesting. I just wouldn't have categorized those as like the same category of spending, I guess.
I would say that the way they did it is, and I was obviously paid, and I am one person in one metro, and they did it across the country. And then there was, the Gamers Guild thing and some other things. There are future things coming, so that could also include that.
I don't know. I'm a little bit extra skeptical of that statement.
Well, I disagree with what he's saying about the marketing part. Like, I am with Ogre that I gave a different company a lot of shit about improperly marketing a game not too long ago, and that's why I died. But
It's not dead. God damn.
When you say improperly marketing, you mean zero marketing, right? Like,
yeah, like stuff that you see. So like I would also be interested to know. I will agree with what you're saying as marketing, like road shows, OP events, OP price packs at stores. That is is a marketing budget. That is where that falls under when you're launching a game. So I get that part of it. And I do see that, and that they've done a pretty good job about getting the product into the store's hands that sign up for it.
That's where I'm coming at it from. I just feel like what the road shows were accomplishing was getting people to the Kickstarter and getting people to buy into that early online product. I don't think it was doing much to help get people into stores.
And that's where I was going with this. Like, I don't think most stores have a reason to seek that out, though, because like even in our local area where we tried to get multiple stores on board, and this Houston's a big card game area, it wasn't easy, and we only have like 1 and 2 halves basically at the moment.
Yeah, and to be fair, he didn't say those were the things. He just had a statement like, I know it's rough and I want to see it, grow. I'm American, living in America.
Yeah,
He's like, we're working on it. He's like, you'd be surprised to know that it is actually the most like resources. I am saying from my side, I can see how that's easily true. Just looking at the manpower from Gen Con, road shows.
I was going to say, like, Gen Con alone. So I talked to said Dead Card Games leadership, just having a chat and kind of talking about it. Gen Con alone for said Dead Card, for the card game to which shall not be named, right? For their small booth they had and all the things they did cost them about $30,000, which wasn't like that. Just included like floor space that they had. That's not including the travel.
Gen Con is not cheap.
And now imagine also doing that. I got to imagine PAX is kind of in the same vein, like very very similar, budget wise.
Yeah, if they're having to pay to get product transported there, assuming they're going to have any available and everything else, like that's a whole endeavor.
That's a whole other thing.
Floor
that was
space
fun.
to be there, right? Yeah. Like it's not cheap.
Yeah. And I do not doubt in the least that however successful the road shows were stateside, because I have opinions. I totally get that had to have been a pretty large expense, and there is also like they are printing and sending a bunch of these OP packs out to stores. Again, how well this first round was executed, opinions. But I
think in one of the articles they admitted that their launch for the States wasn't as successful as they had hoped. I think I read something about that.
Well, the States are always tough with card games. Like, period, end of story. Like, it is just it's tough.
There are large barriers to break through to try to get.
You are literally competing against because to think about like Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh are kind of your top 3, right? And they've been up there for a long time.
I disagree, Wookie. Like Fab, Lorcana, Sorcery
Fab's in the top 5, but it's not your top
great.
3.
Yeah. They all had great launches. It doesn't. I'm not talking about like where they ended up.
Fab did have a pretty good launch. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
All 3 of those had
I would argue, did not have the best launch.
Lorcana had a very enthusiastic launch.
Let's redefine what I'm saying is good. Because of some like things that sucked on the logistics, it kind of held them up later for one of those three. But all three of them sold out all U.S. product almost immediately, and had players all over the country that wanted to play the game and for various reasons could not, because all three of them had logistics issues.
You didn't let me finish, but when you are breaking in, especially into the TCG market, it's not easy. Right? This isn't an easy thing. Number one, the TCG market right now is as flooded as it's ever been. The last time I've seen the TCG market this flooded, I think it was like 2005. When
it's been a while.
Everything had a TCG. Battlestar Galactica had a TCG. Literally everything had a TCG at that point. WWE had a TCG.
Bandai alone right now has as many TCGs out as we saw for the past 2 decades.
Right.
Yeah, I will say, because I do have a unique perspective. I did road shows for both Star Wars Unlimited and Altered. Altered, it was a really big push to get as many stores interested as we could as the roadshow person. I had emails I sent, I called stores. It was incredibly hard. Star Wars Unlimited, they said, these are the 2 stores you're going to. That's it. That's all we're doing. Both of the games, even Star Wars, was super hard to sell. I went to my most local game store. I was like, "Oh, hey, do you guys have any Star Wars Unlimited?" And the guy behind the counter said, "Nah, we skipped out on that."
Yeah.
So even the closest big Star Wars Unlimited hub is the same place I play Altered, and it's because it's a great store and they try to support all that they can.
Right, and basically where I was headed to with my whole little speech here is it's tough to get stores to really sink money, time, resources, floor space into anything unless it's Magic, it's Pokemon, or it's Yu-Gi-Oh! And even sometimes you don't see the Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic and Pokemon, absolutely. Every game store is going to have that. But some stores Z, you talked about Flesh and Blood. I don't see Flesh and Blood in some of the game stores near me.
I was don't carry talked about the Fab is actually still big as far as their things
I'm
go,
not. That's not saying Fab isn't big. I'm just saying there are still pockets that oh no, we don't carry Flesh and Blood, or we don't carry Yu-Gi-Oh.
But the thing is, I don't know. I don't know how what Equinox can do to relaunch their game, because
there's
some of the reps
you can't do right.
Some of the reps don't even have no Altered exists. When I had to originally contact ours, they were like, "Let me look if we have that product," and they figured it out.
So the biggest thing is it's gonna fall on players again. It's going to ask for it, to be oh, is there any way I can get it, and then start something.
I will say, in this case, players are also up against a unique challenge on that front, right? In that it's one thing to ask for a card game, particularly a new one, right, that hasn't found its footing yet, and is doing primarily its sales are coming retail like that. A lot of these Kickstarter TCGs, it's a whole other thing, because the majority of the people that are the driving force behind wanting to get play into stores right now are already, or were already, product saturated. And if you're the store looking at that, you're saying, okay, well, they sold how much on the Kickstarter before it's ever going to come to me? How much am I going to put on my shelf? On top of the fact that for Altered specifically, the Kickstarter boxes are juiced compared to the ones that they get access to. And from people that I was talking with, the level of hesitancy was so much higher, just based on that. Regardless of anything else, not looking at how the game plays, not looking at what else is competing for time in the store, or anything else. It was just the fact, I see they had this big Kickstarter.
Game stores don't like Kickstarter games. They hate them. Talk to any game store owner that isn't somebody that's willing, I'll give, maybe I'll buy a box or 2 and see what happens. They absolutely despise Kickstarter games, because it's exactly what you said. The people who wanted to play it have already bought a ton of it. So getting more in really isn't helping anybody. And then not only that, the store does feel a little left out because, like, well, you just sold all this product direct to consumer, and they're just kind of left out. They don't get to share in any of that profit, so it's really hard to get them interested in it when they're like, well, so you want me to support a game where the initial launch I got nothing out of?
Yeah,
I think I'll pass.
And I originally, like, I had multiple. I had sort of some heated discussions in a few different communities about, they had some very negative things to say about the game for a number of reasons that I thought were dumb. But one of the things that they said that I think I'm going to have to eat crow on it about at this point was that they expressed concern with how juiced the Kickstarter boxes were, like, and what effect that was going to have on people's desire to spend on retail after the fact. And I think we've seen a little bit of that borne out. I wonder, once trial hits, because that is now like that resets the playing field a little bit, where all the people that went heavy on the Kickstarter, they don't have any of it. Theoretically, you've got that seed of players that have all of this product from the Kickstarter, and from those of us that have been trying to keep it afloat with retail since. Maybe you can get a fresh wave of interest, and then the marketplace hits, and suddenly all these cards that the rest of us are sitting on that are extras are available, so that new players coming in can jump right into play sets of things that they want, maybe even for affordable prices, and maybe you can spark the kindling and really get something going when that happens. But there have been a number of unique challenges that I feel like Altered was up against that other games just weren't, even if they did have like a similar number of problems that were just coming from other issues. And I don't know, I don't know exactly what steps they can take to try to minimize the impact that that's had, or at least try to course correct. But I will say that every day we see now, for a little bit they were able to get 10 and 12, and now they're down to 4, and now they're not firing. And two things, I think. One, that's disheartening, but holidays, right?
Yep.
Telling how much of that is due to the holidays, how much of that is due to we had Robin Hood was causing a number of problems. I hope January spells like a pretty big change for that, but I think, to tie this back to the original bullet point, I really think Equinox has to step up and do something differently. I get that it's harder here in the States, but you kind of are you interested in this part of the market or not?
So here's
you're not going to be able to the same approach in Europe.
Archons Corner, we say the same thing, but what it would okay, so step up and do, but what? What is it we want them to do? Is it? It's again, you have to find a way, and I don't have the answer, so don't look at me. I don't have one.
I have a few things. I think that the way that the OP packs were distributed, much more difficult on I don't know. I don't want to go into the specifics about numbers that I was told, because I don't know how factual they were. But from what I've just seen from the store that I'm able to get to, and from a few stories of certain stores getting allocated more, if you're just doing it based on the quantity of boosters that store purchases, I get it. They purchase more product. Theoretically, you want to send them more OP. The problem is, if a store is buying a ton of product to sit and flip later, as part of something besides just what's their active player base, right? Is a store buying a bunch of product that they're also moving in an online format afterwards, and they're getting a ton of OP, whereas other stores that actually might be actively trying to push but can't get that OP because they don't have the same buying power. There needs to be some way of distributing the OP that isn't tied only to how much product somebody is buying.
Well, there's no reason there's no reason their stores should be going without, right? They're three card
and particularly
packs,
in
right?
Altered, and it doesn't have to be a pack. That's what kills me. They could literally just, because they have the digital capability, they could do OP for stores for participation and everything else. They could just give us the digital cards, and wait
That's
for the
fine
market
for
to be
some
up
people,
to like
but
go
there
and do
are-
a print on demand.
There are other people who are like, hey, I want to have something in my hand. I am one of those. Like, I don't really like playing digitally.
No, well,
it
but that's the
drives me
thing is
nuts.
that Altered, even if you get the digital card, you don't have to play it digitally. Like you're going to be able to print those cards out in your collection
Eventually,
right?
but it's not right now. That's the thing. It's not now.
That's fair. But this is a future case thing, right?
I think there's one distinction that is unfortunate in that Equinox does not have any control over what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
There is a big A word, and that's all I will say. And then I will say there are plans coming. It's been in the Discord, but they just hired another community manager. So there are changes coming, and there are plans, especially for North America for next year. And I had a long talk with the guy at my LGS last night because our OP did not get enough people. It only got 2. And he said basically everything has been downhill across the board since Halloween.
For all card games or for Altered specifically?
All card games.
Yeah.
Now, downhill for Pokemon means they still get, one row of tables. But even Pokemon, even Magic, all of that has been downhill. And if you pay any attention to Star Wars Unlimited, from
it has been
my
rough for
being,
them.
yeah, being a foot in both, ponds or whatever, Altered comes out ahead in that regard. So.
I heard boxes were down to about $60 retail for Unlimited. So Unlimited is struggling right now.
Yep.
Especially
and
after
I read an
they
article.
just had a ban very similar to they didn't have. They're not calling it a ban; they're calling it a suspension.
It's a ban from Premiere for Boba. Yeah,
so
Boba,
one of the big heroes that a lot of people spent a lot of money building. Because I'll tell you what, like I built my altered deck for like $75. Now I net decked. I'm not gonna lie to nobody. But still, $70 isn't bad. Like, if one of those cards, like, all of a sudden dropped off the face of the earth, I'm not too angry. Right? But, like, those Vaders at one point were like 120, 130 a piece. The Boba character cards were like $85 a piece. So, you're probably about 3 to 5 bills in.
Yeah, I just want to know that whole long conversation was only bullet point 1.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Yeah, let's go. Let's keep moving.
The next couple bullet points kind of continue the same kind of conversation. So if Ogre, there was anything else you wanted to tie in, it'll fit after this as well. Confluence and Worlds. I'll be honest, I haven't read specifically what the Confluence is, but from my understanding of this conversation, it's going to be their big event called the Confluence. And previously, people thought it was only in France, and that was the understanding. There will be one in the United States, and there will be one in France. That is just based on the size that they want to do it. That's all that's going to work out. Finding a venue, getting that many people, all of that. It's just going to be one for each area. The target area for this is May to September. The one in France will be first. So, like, if the one for France ends up in May or June, then the US's might be July. It's going to be a big event. They're going to have partners, all this stuff. So
they don't have
a
a target location, or they don't have any of this locked down yet.
Not that they're going to share.
Sure.
But,
okay.
So, in that same
please don't
timeline,
be Gen Con. Please don't be Gen Con. Please don't be.
No,
Gen Con.
From my understanding of how I took it is this is going to be its own thing. Like
that'll be cool.
Star Wars is doing the Galactic Championship in Vegas. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the Confluence event ends up, or somewhere like Texas, maybe Dallas, There's a very
Is that
nice
wishful thinking I'm hearing over there?
Yeah. So in this same time frame, set 3, the target right now is May. Set 4 is September-ish. And that is going more through like events going through to next year. Does include the US. And there are other things they're working on that you will find out more
so these
info
confluences
on
are like
soon.
what these are their premier events, their large scale premier events, or this is a one-time thing?
It'll be it's like a Worlds, like,
Okay.
but I think they're aiming to do more than just a Worlds competition.
Yeah, the confluence, for the record, is like in the lore for the game, that is like the big event that resulted in all the weird stuff that is part of the altered setting. It's when the magic kind of broke the world in the way that like imagination started running wild, and it's how civilization got split and all the cool stuff. So it's a neat thing. Like hopefully there'll be a bunch of events that tie into that idea, assuming there's more to the name than just the fact that there's like, oh, hey, in the lore the word confluence was there and that was cool. I have to hope that there'll be some neat tie-ins on that front.
Yeah, that's why I just said I'm not 100% sure if there's other info about what kind of event they want to do out there, because that was kind of the first time I've heard it called specifically that.
What else you got?
All right. It is not entirely impossible that cards could be buffed in the future, but keep in mind certain cards or heroes as they are now will only get better as more sets come out. As an example, Tierra will just get better as more permanents come out. Aphanis will get better as more spells come out, so on and so forth. And that was in response to Robin was just errated. Do you ever see the chance of buffing some of these, underutilized cards? Justin did say, I'm not one of the game designers. You should get a game designer on to talk about these specific things, but I don't see it entirely impossible.
I have just one thing to say about that. If we're going to make the argument that new cards coming out, right, like if the statement is they can only get better as new cards come out, that can't be true, because that new cards coming out cuts both ways. A card that is really good today because it doesn't have an answer, once an answer is printed, it gets worse, right? Like the nature of card games is that it's always going to be shifting up and down as new cards come out and as new metas shape and everything else. Like, I think, yes, there's definitely room for some of these underrepresented archetypes and cards to grow, but there's also room for things to get trumped, because power creep always happens in these games. There's a number of things that like are just part of the standard that you expect to see. A card 5 years from now, if we're all still here playing Altered, is probably going to, by base, be better than the cards that we're playing with today out of Beyond the Gates.
Well, it really depends on like support levels, right? So I mean, we don't know what's in the next set. I think there's been a handful of spoilers that have been out there. But who's to say next set doesn't have a lot for Lyra, but it has a ton for Muna, right? And that with how they're doing it's a one large set and 3 mini sets. Do I have that right, or is it 2 mini sets and 1 large set?
I don't know the
rotation.
size, but Trial by Frost is smaller than Beyond the Gates.
I don't think they've committed to a specific pattern yet. I think they've said that.
Maybe I heard a rumor somewhere or was poking around on the internet and read it. I thought it was going to be either 2 or 3 like support sets, and then you're going to have 1 large like Beyond the Gates set, and that was going to be like kind of the cycle it went in.
Yeah, that's what I heard, Wookie. 1 big and then 2 small, but I don't know if that's completely confirmed yet.
I think they're still I think they're still trying to figure it out, because they've already come back and said that it might not exactly follow that for this, as they try to get like, the early days.
And that could change. But again, like you've seen it, like certain archetypes get more support than others and other archetypes, right? So what's an underrepresented archetype right now could just become better because it's heavily helped in another set.
Yeah, always. Like card TCGs are change, right? That's That's why people stick with them. That's basically how you keep your audience. Like, things are going to go up and things are going to go down. Cards are going to get printed that invalidate previous cards. Cards are going to get printed that make cards have a place that they never had before. Like, that's just card games.
Right.
Yep. What were you going to say?
I'm just saying, but I personally, Z and I had this discussion in private, like in our DMs for the cast. I am personally of the opinion I'd love to see them do both buff and nerf passes periodically to affect some of these cards that we're all playing and are just sitting in our binders doing nothing. I'm for it. I think they have a system in place that lets them do something a card game has never been able to do, and I want to see them use it. Like, for a lot of card games, it doesn't make sense because you don't have the capability to rapidly distribute updates to people without making them jump through silly hoops to get the product. You guys know what I'm taking a shot at.
Let's have a quick side note here, because I do think that there's been some doom and gloom recently in the community, like the OPs going down, things being a little delayed. I think the grass is pretty green over here, because there was recently another card game that had a major errata that basically murdered a card, and they don't have the same system as Altered. And when they did the reprint of the card Bucky in Lorcana, they said you can get this new reprinted card if you buy a booster box. You will get one card.
One. What's the playable set of those?
You need
Cole?
4 for a playset.
4,
right?
man.
A booster, a box. And the theory is, the way that Altered worded their document on Robinhood is there will be something they're doing for players with their Robinhoods.
So. Let's say they did nothing. Let's say they didn't give it, and who knows? We don't know, right? Let's say they just asked you to use the print on demand once it comes out. I believe they're estimating it's about $1 a card if you do a small batch, right? Like, you can't benefit from economy of scale if you're doing a small order.
Yep.
So that is $3 to reprint a playset of cards. For less than a booster pack of cards, I can get the errata for whatever I need, right? Which, I get it. You could make the argument they just nerfed my card and they want me to spend $3 to get new copies of it. That's upsetting. Fair enough. But it also means that if they buff a card, I can spend $3 and get my brand new copies of it. The sword cuts both ways.
Yes. So is Lorcana also saying, like, you have to have this new version of the card to even play with it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but nobody wants to play with it.
Yeah. So
thing.
I guess now it's meaningless. But, like, that's kind of dumb. Like, that's really dumb.
Yeah.
That's not kind of dumb. That's straight up.
That means don't play Lorcana, play Altered.
Yeah. Lorcana Twitter was very upset, rightly so. That is
it's absurd.
Insulting.
It is absurd.
Well, that is absurd. Like, if that card was still meta relevant, I'd be like, well, I don't know where I'm selling these.
I think the biggest insult there is that, like, when I look at, like, I don't know if they still do it all the time, but like a card, like Bandai games, right? A lot of times when you buy a booster box of their stuff, you're also getting various, what do they call them? Like, is it toppers? Something. It's like little booster pack bonus promo things that you get for buying a whole box instead of buying, per pack off of a shelf. And they give
Magic
you, like,
does that
Magic
too,
does that with
rare
box toppers.
alt art cards that are super cool and you can't get anywhere else. And, like, that is awesome. That's nice. But to say, hey, these cards that you already bought that aren't good, we'll give you a copy of it, but only if you buy a whole. What's a Lorcana booster box? $140, something like that.
Yeah, it's over $100.
Woo!
Yeah. So on that note,
I'll gladly take my $3 to reprint whatever they decide to errata. Please and thanks.
Yep. So this one is kind of cool too. Altered has a kind of unique thing in the factions, where people, kind of live and breathe their faction. For the organized play, they pick a faction. Some people may decide that based on what perk you get. But then some people just pick without even looking. That's what I did. I just picked Muna. I have still not looked at what the organized play rewards are. I just picked Muna. Something new that they're going to be starting for the first time at PAX U is for the factions, there will be a expedition captain. So these are things that plan to reward people for playing certain factions. So it could be like the highest placed Muna player is, that expedition captain or something like that. And the question was, what are you guys going to do to kind of reward people for playing things a little different? AKA, what about the people that don't play Ordis? So, we don't know too much about it yet, but at PAX we will. So that's cool. These next ones I think are pretty quick, so I'll just run through them and then you can say what you will. Out of all the sets being worked on and or finished currently, Trial by Frost is likely Justin's favorite from a thematic and mechanic standpoint.
Oof.
I know some of you will take that a certain way, so Trial by Frost will have something that will change how people see an aspect of Altered that they didn't think about much before.
Oof.
And a 7th bonus card can possibly be won at PAX outside of the 6 already announced oversized cards.
I kind of want an oversized card.
I have one. I've got a Retatosker.
Yeah,
how did you get one?
Too.
Because Julio's a really nice guy. Shout out to Julio. Vegas rocks.
I got one from Michael down at BRC. I got that Retatosker too.
Yeah, I won something. I don't even remember which day it was, but I won. And on the way out, he was like, "Hey, man, would you like this too?" Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I would.
The theory that the Discord has gone and run with, because if you give any fans a little piece, they're gonna take it, is they are thinking the 7th bonus card, since there's only 6 factions, will be a neutral card that can be played in any faction.
I sincerely hope not.
That's just what they're saying in the Discord. That's not at all hinted or alluded to anywhere. So
I think I am in the camp that really prefers the clean lines drawn between the factions, because it lets you do. I don't know. It lets you kind of like, if you're not going to play everything, you can really pick a lane and stay in it and feel comfortable there.
It's a giant mana convergence card.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's technically already a card that exists that is factionless.
But like, that's a token. If you want to print a neutral token, I don't know what you're going to use it for. Go for it. I'm all about it.
Your how you see it and what you prefer is valid. But I will say there are a lot of people who would love to see factionless cards.
All I can say is that I've played a lot of card games at this point, and it's a lot easier to balance cards, period, and statement, when you know exactly what the curated pool of cards that they're going to be played with is. I've seen a bunch of different systems.
I don't want colorless. I'm with Ogre here. Because, here's the scenarios. There's only 2, right? It's meta relevant, then it's automatically in all decks.
Every deck.
Or it's not meta relevant, and you never see it. I don't want either of those to exist.
Yeah.
That's the only 2 end results. That's the only choice you get.
All I know is I heard it's my favorite set, and then thematically. And anytime
and mechanically,
right? Anytime somebody from the company says that, usually means that set's dog water, right?
I don't think that's the case.
You
But I
have
do
no
think
basis for this. You just know.
We sure do.
All
We
you
sure
know
do,
is
Big
what
Z.
the dead ones speak, and that's what we heard
No,
from
because
them.
I mean, we heard this from Gavin Verhey in a Magic set, and the Magic set was terrible.
but also like this guy's he's on a podcast. He's a representative of the company. He has obligations to say certain things, right? Like they're building up to a release. He's got to hype it. Like
sure,
he can't get out there and say the set that we're about to release of the 3 that we're working on in the future is my least favorite. He can't say that.
Well, then you say nothing at all, right? Like you don't. I don't know if this was prompted or like how I didn't listen to it, so I don't know if it was prompted to be said or like how it all went down. But
yeah.
I mean,
I like the fact that it's the Trial by Frost coming out in the wintertime, like both here in Europe and in the US. Like I think that's very timely, and I think they're gonna they could do a lot of fun things thematically with it, right? Within the game. So
Yeah,
I'm feeling pretty hopeful. I'm on the hoping TBF is really gonna hit big.
Yeah, I think it's fair to take it as it is because one, it's a small team. You know, Magic, all these other card games have so many factors. I could see how a massive team, you know, one person says this is my favorite, and then it's like, actually, this is trash. But with such a small team, you know, they're probably stoked about this. The other thing is we've been playing the same set since technically February, some even January. So even just getting new mechanics, new cards, things like that has got to be really exciting.
Huge. Yeah, it's going to be a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's going to be the first and only time where it's like we played all these cards for a year, and now we finally have new ones.
Yeah, you see the argument a lot, like, oh, Altered has only been out for X months. Are we on 3 months now?
Something like
September,
that. Yeah,
was technically the world release.
But like many of the cards have been being played for longer than that.
Yeah,
and I think there's something to be said for, and I don't know, every card game is different. Every card game has a certain expectation, because like as soon as I say that's a really long time to play one set of cards, somebody is going to pop up in the comments and say, oh, well, Sorcery only does one set a year. But like that's different. That is a boutique card game that has a huge, ridiculous pool of cards, and they're specifically targeting that slower cycle where you're just meant to sort of, chill on the weekends, and you're not really like grinding through metas, and you're not doing all these things. In a game like Altered, I think you want that breath of fresh air to keep people interested in trying new things and avoid staleness. Yeah. And I'm so looking forward to it.
So I looked up my email to see how long I've been playing Altered. I have been playing since technically December 2023.
Oh, wow.
And there are people who were playtesting and playing before that who are still playing the game. So yeah, it's a long time to be playing the same cards. A good amount of the cards have changed a little bit, but not like drastically.
Apparently Sierra got a lot worse.
Yeah, but that's like playtest. Like I haven't even played playtest.
All right, what else we got?
That's it. Dexter, did you give your mom a crock pot?
I did.
Did you tell her happy birthday for me?
Nope, I forgot Wookie.
I need you to call her right now and tell her happy birthday from Wookie.
Did you tell her why you suck at Altered?
I did not.
Well,
how about you tell us?
So last week at the draft, I used a Keylon burst on one of their cards, and I had a choice between two different things, and one of them was bigger than the other one. So I picked the one that was bigger, and then they just played it again. The other one that they had was fleeting. So this was where we were like in the very last one, right? So this made me lose because I picked the wrong target to get rid of, because then he just played it again. So make sure when you're using your targeted removal on characters, if they can just play the character again, it's not really helping you at all. And you should get rid of something that either has a mana cost that's too high that they can't play again, or fleeting so that it gets rid of it. Because in that scenario, I just got rid of his character, and he played it right back again, and I couldn't do anything to beat him. And then he won.
I've seen that catch a number of people off guard.
Yeah, like I've seen that online a lot.
The nature, and you see things like people forget the fact that, like, let's say they've only got one card in hand and they've got 6 mana open. I think people forget that card, like, let's say you're in Bravos, right? They've got a small character in either lane. They've got one card in hand. It's 6. You're making your evaluation for like what you're going to play.
Mm-hmm.
If that one card is physical training, they're going to play it twice.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that it's one card. They're going to play it once. They're going to draw a card, and then they can either play it again for 3, or they can play that card that they just drew if it represents, a better shift than 3 stats. But like, one card in hand will frequently be 2 plays of a card, or maybe it's a character and not. But like, people forget that because the flow of cards in Altered is different.
The reserve exists. You can play all spells twice if they don't have fleeting. It's definitely a very big thing.
All right. Well, I do believe that's going to do it for us for this week, right? We don't got anything else to go over. Zach, are you still crying over there? It's okay.
No.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. Making sure you're all right.
He's still in mourning for Robin Hood.
I know.
That was his dear friend.
Making sure he's okay. That's all I'm doing.
It's all good.
We'll let him wear that veil as long as he wants to. We're a supporting group of friends.
I do think it's funny that as soon as you lose all the meta, you're like, well, I'm just going to jump ship to a new hero.
I had other things going on. Jesus,
Order sucks now. I'm going to somebody else.
Well, hold on. In defense of my friend, when we first started this cast, Z straight up said, Zach is the guy that I have elected to hop ship as the meta changes, and he's always going to be playing top dog.
Yeah.
So
that is true.
Yep.
That was my role.
I can also confirm that is his MO. Yes. I haven't known Zach nearly as long as Z, but I've known him for a while. Yeah, that's what he'll do.
Zach, I'll be that guy that plays all the shit to find out weird stuff. And Linda Way was a great learning experience, and you are all worse off for not joining it.
Ooh, ouch.
I made a lot of bad plays in that tournament.
But again, with that being said, make sure you go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Altered Corner. Check out the website, alteredcorner.com. Make sure you join us in the Discord every Friday, as well as all of our social medias. We're on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it nowadays. We're on, are we on YouTube?
Technically, yes. You do the YouTube.
I do. That's over on Archons Corner. And then over on Twitch, you can watch, who is it? Is it Cole that does the Twitch for us? Cole, you do the Twitch?
Yeah. And
you can watch Cole get stomped out and then stream other people's games.
Yep.
Wookie.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
It's okay. I believe I'm a better caster.
It's that damn honesty thing again, where you say what's on your mind.
Oh my god.
I'll
real reason.
Reel it in.
Cole's the real reason.
Hold on. Cole, did you
join us
go
on Tuesdays.
multiple rounds into AWOL not that long ago?
Yeah, 3 is multiple.
Yeah, I placed top 16 when I played my actual deck.
Yeah. Look at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He does things. That's higher than I've ever placed in
Listen,
AWOL.
this is sometimes you just got to make the comedy happen, and then we all agree, and we just go.
I played Arak last time though, so yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
Did you get any wins?
One maybe? I can't remember.
Nice.
Well, with that being said, we'll see y'all next week.